It's Saturday, August 4th, 8:50. I'm on the road to White Oak Conservation Center here. It's about 3 more miles and we're gonna have breakfast with the beasts. Ahoo! Got a little bridge we're going over here, a 1-lane bridge. And this is the St. Mary's River and the game preserve's right on the St. Mary's River. This should be fun. We just had breakfast here at the pavilion and we're getting ready to get onto the trolleys here for our tour to see the cheetahs and rhinos. They're right on the St. Mary's River. Beautiful location. Ow!
A little background, like Steve was saying, you know, this property has been in the Gilman family name for a very long time. Howard Gilman, who was the last living relative of the Gilman family, he is the one that really started to get into the wildlife conservation aspect of it. Mr. Gilman was very big into horses. Around 1950s, 1960s, you can see we have an elaborate stable set up here with 2 main stables as well as a show arena. Also back in the day, there were hundreds of different equestrian paths all throughout the woods. Our property right now is about 68,000 acres. The animals themselves are only on a fraction of that. They're only really on 600 acres. The rest of the property is mainly this longleaf pine forest that you see to the right. It extends out very well. Mr. Gilman didn't get really into exotics until about the 1970s, until he acquired a pair of eland, which are the largest antelope in Africa, and we'll see them later on the tour. And from then on, since he had such big space to allow these animals to roam freely and naturally here, that's sort of how the Conservation Center got started. So the species here that we focus on mainly are the ones that require the space and the quietness. For example, like the rhinos, cheetahs, different antelope. We're able to maintain them in huge, large herds as they would in the natural. In comparison to a zoo, for our animals, we try to be as minimally invasive as possible, only really interfering when we have to do veterinary procedures and whatnot. And other than that, we provide them food, their daily husbandry, and other than that, they do the rest. This first pen here, this is one of our mixed species pens. So these are all male antelope. We have lesser kudu over on the left. Those are the dark tan animals. The big guys standing up, those are the giant eland. Those are the largest antelope in Africa. And then these white antelope right here, these are adrigazelle. And way main thing about antelope herd structure is that you have one big bull and several females. However, when the male offspring get too big, the big male will sort of chase them off. So we need a place to put them, and that's how they come up here. So this is more of our like bachelor pad, or aka frat row, where we have a lot of the male antelope up here. So for the cheetah run demonstration, we have one of the few unique setups of being able to actually see the cheetah speed firsthand up close. A lot of zoos nowadays are starting to be able to show these cheetah run demonstrations, however, not in a way that we can show it. You guys are going to be able to see 5 cheetahs run, and they're all going to be running in a different formation and different speed, and every cheetah run's different. It's all up to the cat. So my recommendation for everybody that has cameras, you probably want to put them on action or the sports setting, because you're really only going to have a 2-second window to get a really good shot, because they're going to be flying right by you guys. Or sometimes too, it might be even best try to get a video of it instead.
Wet grass.
Quite a challenge for Amy, who's working the machine, to judge each cat and their individual needs for tasting these lures. And she needs that lure right in front of her, or she'll give up and won't run. So.
Yep, let me get in there.
Drive off in a golf cart.
Take me a ride.
That's great.
Really is like the lazy one.
She'll hop right in and go for her little ride.
Like, yeah, I'm not walking back.
Hey, I have to tell you, we used to walk them back and it took forever.
She's like,
How long did it take you to get them in the truck?
oh, here we go.
Again, this is as easy.
I'm eating.
Little bit of
Dirt all over her. Where she's.
She's actually a big girl. She's
Wow.
Look leopards or jaguars, which climb trees a lot. These cats are made for running, so that's why they're thin and lean. Also, if you watch when they're turning corners, they use their tail as sort of like a rudder or for counterbalancing, so the tail goes up and to the side and different things. Their claws are non-retractable, so that helps them to not slip when they're turning corners, but it didn't work for her, obviously, so she did a pretty good slip. That ball, we don't really want them to catch it because then they have to kill it and it takes them a while to let us have it back. We don't mind if they catch it on a practice run, but we try to keep them from catching it during an event because it just takes a little too much time to get it back away from them. And really, it's just a trading thing. We just wait for them to calm down a little bit and then we trade it for a meat snack. Even though these cats are pretty friendly towards us, when they go through that much work to catch that ball, you don't want to reach your hands down there and try to take it. So. Yeah, that's exactly what she's doing. Being lazy, not wanting to jump up in there.
She's like, put your butt in there.
Well, so much for my family.
I missed that, and I didn't know they had one out. Oh, he got it. He says, yeah, I got it. That's right. Look at me. He's looking at us, so see? I got it.
I didn't know that was did she announce it?
They only thought they were good. You're going to kill it.
Now she's going to kill it.
So what they're doing is they're just trying, Cheetah's a good about that. So as soon as Scotty covers the ball, then she forgets about it and now she's interested in her meat snack.
She is very good.
So she's about a 90-pound cat. She's almost 5.
Hey, pretty girl.
Definitely the star. She was good.
Breeding program here, so it's important that the genetics get out to other facilities for breeding.
I mean, I've seen her put my finger in it.
I'm safe until they get the ball reset.
The cats are funny. They see when we're setting up the course out here. They really start getting
There's with the puppies.
He's like, where's the ball?
Flopping along.
They're going to put these two cubs on a platform here.
Omi and Issa.
Oh, wow.
Can you make, I don't know if you can make that, Missy. I know, that's a hard one. Here we go. It's a big jump.
Can you share with your sister? So we prefer that the mothers raise their babies, but once in a while they abandon the babies, maybe because it's a first-time mom and she's not kind of confused and not sure what to do, or if cheetahs have a single cub, they won't raise it. It's not enough stimulation to produce milk. And this particular female had two cubs, so I think she was still a little bit on the edge, and it wasn't enough stimulation, and She took care of them for about 8 days and then abandoned them. But she did raise a litter 2 years before that, so we really think it was just not enough cubs. So we had to take over.
She's purring. Yeah, you hear that purring? The big group we can learn the most. They run out a lot. They're looking like real big cats. Give me the whole You like it? Oh, she's good. Anatolian Shepherd.
Okay. That's the last one I was talking.
Historically, they're from Turkey.
Okay.
What country?
Turkey.
Turkey.
I've heard of them, but I've never seen one in real life. We have German Shepherds, which are significantly smaller.
Yeah. Well, he's 130. They actually ran really well.
Yeah, he is. He's a good boy.
You gonna play soccer?
Some of the other rhinos, like the black rhinos that we're seeing going around, they're more solitary. Just they can't really see too well. Actually, the rhinos can only see about 6 to 12 feet in front of them. So they can definitely hear it. You'll notice that all the females, their ears are constantly rotating, one in front, one behind, so they're always listening, make sure right now. So when they hear something new and they don't identify it, they sort of have to portray it as a predator. So they'll do a little mock charge if they don't know what it is. They sort of stand their grounds, and they're very protective of their calves.
When did they stop laying down to sleep?
It depends. It's up to them, the cats. See, like right now, he's like, oh, people, nap time's up. So you see he's got a little bump as a horn.
He's like,
When they're born, they have no horn. It's just a little barely mound. But for the first year, it'll grow about 3 inches.
I can't do it. I just can't.
And these guys are mainly grazers. You can see that on their mouth they have a big, wide, sort of square-shaped mouth. Oh, tuckered out. So these guys spend most of their time grazing. You can also tell they're mainly grazers too, compared to the other rhino species. If one of the females lifts their head up, they have an extra huge mound of extra muscle pack just for their head, because their head spends mainly down on the ground.
Yeah.
So they need that extra muscle to keep it whole.
How old do they live though?
They can live actually up to about 35, 40 years. We actually have one male rhino that's about now 37. So they can live a fairly long time.
And you have to feed them most of the time? Like there's not enough grass or...
They graze a lot. During the summertime, we cut back on their hay amount, but we do give them hay, the option. We also give them grain in the afternoon. But during the wintertime, we go through almost about 10, 12 bales of hay just on them, just on these guys themselves.
And how many of just these guys do y'all have?
We have now,
I can count.
we have 10 right now.
And
So,
which type of rhinos are
these are the white rhinos. Yeah. And they don't, looking at them, they're not necessarily look like white. However, they got that mixed up with the Afrikaans word, South African language, for wide mouth. So when they pronounced it as wide, it was white. So they kind of picked up and said, oh, white rhino. So now they're,
It really wasn't meant to be wide.
yes, so it's basically being the wide mouth rhino. Because when you look at the other rhinos, they have sort of a triangular prehensile lip. So they're mostly browsers, like the black rhinos, the Indian rhinos, as well as Sumatra and Javan rhinos.
Does that mean they don't graze as much?
No.
or-
So these guys are primarily the grazers. The other rhino species are primarily the browsers.
And what do the browsers do?
They eat most of the shrub, sort of short shrub down. They'll actually knock down some of the trees.
Oh, okay.
So they'll rub with their horns. That's why we have rocks around all these trees right here, because if they were to rub it, they'd rub the bark off and eventually knock the tree off. So for some of our stumps out there, it's kind of hard to see it right there, but a lot of those curves, they are rounded smooth. So smoother than sandpaper can get it. It's amazing how well they love a good scratching spot.
Oh, it's kinda
Rhino's
hard
favorite
for them,
thing,
huh? Do
scratching
they like
spot,
water?
wallow.
Do they like water?
If it's muddy water. Sometimes they'll go in the water like to cool off in the summertime, but a good mud wallow for a rhino, they're happy. It's their favorite thing. Just like when we had all the rain with the tropical storm, these guys were the only ones that we love it. Everybody else was like, when is this gonna stop? So,
Do they have any predators?
sometimes lions might try to go for the calves, but primarily their main threat is man. None of the other animals would try, because if you try and come in between a calf and a female rhino, it's with that horn and their strength. These guys can run up to about 25 miles an hour, and when they run, you cannot hear them until they are 20 feet behind you.
Hear them?
No, they have a giant, like Dr. Scholl foot absorber For their three toes, it's massive. So they sit up high, their three toes, and they have a big shock absorber. So when they're running, all you're gonna hear is the flaps, the side of their skins going back and forth. And by that time, you need to find a good tree to go up or something to get in, because by then they are coming. So.
Well, that's amazing because the little cheetah sound like a horse.
Yeah, when the cheetahs, definitely getting all that traction. For these guys, it's only up when close.
Wow.
Yep. Giraffe. Zebra. So, yeah, so it's a fairly big collection, and staff-wise too, we only have about, in total, about 20 full-time staff here. About 12 people that do animal management, like what I do. We also have vet staff as well. Researchers come in a lot of times too. We've actually probably been the most successful facility with about almost 5 births within the last 2 years. And for gestation time with the rhinos, that's why it hits them hard, especially poaching, because if you poach a rhino, it takes a while for another rhino to sort of take that place in the ecosystem.
What is the gestation period?
Gestation period for these guys is about 15 to 16 months. Now over here on the right, this is our proud father of all the cows out here. This is Bully. Yeah, so he did too good of a job, so he's on vacation right now.
Poor fella. Duty call.
Yeah. So you can see his horn is rubbed down pretty good, because just out in the wild, he'd do a lot of sparring, fighting with other males if they came into his territory. Rhinos, they have a lot of tussles with each other, like horn-on-horn combat, but it's light. It's like light sparring. It's sort of the social life for the rhinos. It's, in a way, it's somehow how we shake hands, hug. It's just part of the rhino's lifestyle.
How old is this calf on the left?
The calf over here is only about a month old now. When it was born, it was really only legs and a little bit of a body and really flabby skin, only about 80 pounds. But they do gain weight pretty quick, usually about 10 pounds a week is what they'll gain.
All nursing?
Yep, all from nursing.
When do they start eating grass?
It depends, usually about 6 months or so. When we feed these guys in the afternoon, we'll feed them grain. And white rhinos, we've had the best success so far. We've had great success with our Indian rhinos, which unfortunately we won't be able to see on this tour. But they're off in the back area. Now the other rhinos compared to these guys, you saw how calm they were up against the fence and the railing right there. It's just in their nature that white rhinos are more social and they're more laid back even though they're bigger. The black rhinos are smaller and they have more of a, I'm a small guy but yet tough temperament, so they like to charge at a lot. Yes, they have big ears, they have very, very sharp teeth. It's actually a good look at them because they're mainly active like early morning, late afternoon.
Is he on the outside or the inside?
No, he's on the inside.
That's a good thing.
Named wolf.
These guys do a very, very weird shaped head. The word Gerenuk means giraffe neck in Swahili. So these guys almost are given a nickname of a giraffe neck-like creature. What's very cool about them is they're only found in one small region of Africa, in the Samburu region of Kenya. These guys can stand straight up on their hind legs without any assistance and reach the browse that's above them without even falling. So like, it's how tall and skinny their legs are, they can stand perfectly straight up. These guys are forest antelope. And you can tell the forest antelope from the open, wide plain antelope because just by looking at their horns. Usually if they're smooth horns, they're usually forest, and they're recurved back, they're forest antelope. Because for these guys, if they have big, big horns, and when they're running through the forest, they're gonna get caught in something. So these guys, when they run, they just sort of tilt their head back, and they can glide straight into the forest. These guys are nicknamed the ghosts of the forest because they were only found around 1901. Even with their bright orange and white coat, they in a thick forest type setting, they can. The male is the big guy in the back that has the biggest dewlap or that neck fold right there. And for the antelope, for their horns, if they're to break off a horn, it's broken off. It's not going to grow back, say, like a deer antler. So they might be a little shy right now. Oh, come back. For the giraffe, their beauty outweighs their intelligence. They're not the most intelligent animal in the animal kingdom. A lot of times I describe to guests that for a giraffe, every day is a new day. 30 minutes for a total of about 2 hours every night. And when they sleep, they lay down, but that's at their most vulnerable position. For a giraffe, when they're laying down or down on the ground, it takes a lot of movement, and for all that blood to get pumped from the top of their head all the way down to the legs, it takes a while. So when a giraffe has been laying down and they get back up, it's sort of like a, sort of how we get out of bed sort of feel. We're sort of take a second, get our footing. They only reach maturity about 3 to 4.
Do they have horns?
Yes, they do. They have 2 ossicones on the tip of their head, as well as sort of a bony cap. The males, right now we don't have a breeder male. We should be getting one in soon. The males have more calcified spores around their head because the males, when they fight, they do a behavior called necking, where the 2 males will line up side by side and they will swing their heads like battering rams to try and hit the other side of the other opponent. There's a lot of different antiques, and each house has its own unique feel. So like this one was Pinos' The Pines, close to the Rome pen. There's other big houses like the Old Lodge that we just passed that was right by the river. Roseland, which was the other house that you saw coming in, that's mainly overlooks the rhinos. So we do have different conferences that come out here. The Clayton Global Initiative, they've been out here quite a bit. Gilman was very big into public arts, so like we have a dance studio that Baryshnikov helped develop and is named after. Up on the other end, we do have different dance residencies that come down here. Then over on the right, those are our Grevy zebras. We have 14 of them out there. These guys are different than your typical zebra that you see, say like on Discovery Channel or Animal Planet. They're not as short. They're the tallest of the zebra species. They have very, very narrow stripes that go all the way around. If they were to look at us, they have very, very big, open, oval ears. They're very, very good at hearing. These guys, there's only about, say, 2,000 of them left estimated. So a lot of zoos are focusing their attention to try and conserve and breed these guys. Now over here on the right, this is our main breeding herd of Adria gazelle. You can see we have one little youngster here standing up. Yep. When for the antelope, when the calves are born, for the first 2 weeks of their life, their mom picks a spot that's nice, shady, but also camouflaged, and they tell the calf, stay there, and they will stay there. You can walk up to them, drive by, and they will not move. It's for their survival strategy, because if they try to stick with the herd, predator will be nearby trying to pick them out. So it's better survival for them to sort of play hide and seek for the first 2 weeks of their life. Here on the right, these are curassows. They're from South America. These guys will make sort of an interesting whistling noise from time to time. The main attraction that we'll see on the corner here is the cassowary. These birds are from Australia. And they're very colorful in their head, especially with the blue and the red. They cannot fly, but they still do have sort of remnants of a wing, but it's very, very small. These guys are by far the most dangerous bird that you could ever encounter with. Reason for that is on their inner claw by their toe, they have a 2-inch claw that is very sharp and pointy, and when these guys feel threatened, they will run and kick at our midsection. So an equivalent, these guys are like the velociraptors from Jurassic Park, but real life. They're very, very aggressive. We don't really go in with these guys.
How many are there?
We just have a pair, a breeding pair. A lot of zoos don't have these guys. They're only found in the rainforest section of Australia. And they eat primarily fruit. Between the two of them, they can go through about 10 bananas, 8 apples, and a whole bag of grapes just between those two. One of our conservation success stories is that we're in partnership with Audubon Society and the Mississippi Sandhill Wildlife Refuge out in Mississippi, where we have several different breeding groups. And for the offspring of these guys, they will actually go back out into the wild. A few years I actually had a very cool opportunity to help take 7 chicks out to Audubon, which then end up going back out to the refuge. So it's sort of a cool conservation story because there's only about 200 of this subspecies of crane left in the world. A lot of times if you're from Florida, you'll hear the sandhill cranes migrating north and south with that call. However, of the Mississippi subspecies, there's only 200 of them left, so they're very, very endangered. And what's funny too is during migrating time, when the native sandhill cranes fly over these guys, it's interesting because you'll get some wild ones that'll come fly by and sort of check each other out.
The tour just ended with John, our tour guide. He was awesome. And now we're walking through this bamboo forest here.